because the hundreds of pages that he has gone through to help us understand is very good.
And then the next one is the end of the year status report. So if there are questions for that one, that was a little bit more in depth than I've had this past fiscal year.
Yeah, I do have a couple. I did have a couple of questions. Actually, I'll probably just start with comments first. So, one, thank you, Mike, for preparing this report. This is quite impressive, quite extensive. So thank you for that. I would say that in the general summary, I think it was good to see that the general fund balance increase. We will continue to talk about why that's important to do that. There's uncertainty that we know it's going to happen. So I appreciate your guidance for that. I do agree with kind of, in the long-term considerations, aging facilities pose a threat to the district's general fund. I do wholeheartedly agree with that. So I think that's something we'll continue to look at for that. And I know you as the board know, but just for the community's benefit, the ending of deficit spending, that's not easy. And there continues to be school districts that are significant financial trouble because they didn't have the forward looking that our district did. Additionally with your help to kind of try to see that cliff that was going to happen. So look forward to continuing to understand.
Yeah, when I showed up, I know that the district had already started down a path of making some adjustments to try to prepare for what you're 100% right, what you're seeing happening in a lot of school districts across the state. Did I push a button here? What you're seeing happen in a lot of districts across the state, the things that I kind of referred to, the ESSER money going away, enrollment decline, inflation, all of these things coming at the same time. So the fact that we had a little bit of a surplus last year and added to the fund balance, tremendous. They're a really good thing, and we need to make sure that we maintain that as we move forward.
Just for questions, just a couple things kind of jumped out. In the transportation vehicle fund, and you might not know this, do you see a need coming for vehicle repairs? I noticed that it looked like, at least what I could tell, the amount spent on vehicle repairs, I think, was a little bit down this year.
So last February, I think it was, so the transportation vehicle fund is for us to replace buses, buy buses. The normal repair comes out of the general fund. If there's a major repair or purchase of buses, that's where that money is. I would say that, we have 5 buses that are supposed to show up this month in November. So it's something that annually we should probably be replacing 3 to 4 or thereabouts buses. I talked with Ryan about this the other day. We do have 5 showing up here soon, but we've got something like 40 to 45 routes. We've got almost 70 buses. So every time we buy buses, we're retiring some of the older buses. So we're just trying to keep our fleet as current as we possibly can. And you can see in the TVF, we've got about 3.6 million. The way that's operated is you buy the bus, they send us depreciation money over either an 8-year period or a 13-year period, depending if it's a special needs bus or it's a regular ed bus, and then you have the money to replace that bus. So the idea is to have as many buses with dollars following them to replace them whenever they fall off the schedule. So I think we're actually in pretty good shape with the TVF. I don't think we need to continually stay on top of that so that we don't have problems. So I think we're in a pretty good spot there, actually.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was kind of okay. And then, sorry, I had one other question that the board might just want to ask me about before.
Well, Mike, I'm just kind of wondering, as we move forward, I noticed that one of the big concerns at the state level is that the state doesn't fund districts like ours that requires a lot of buses because we have a lot of waterways we have to drive around. Is there a way that if we needed that information about how much we spend different than a area like, say, downtown Seattle? Is that something that we can, get some numbers on?
I mean, if we want to
If we
compare
want to
ourselves
compare.
to another district similar size, districts are much different geographically. They're also much different in terms of the policies they set up, who's gonna pick up, what families, what students are we gonna pick up? So it really probably would be something there, if there were specific questions, we could kind of research an issue and look into it. I think I feel pretty comfortable that we're in pretty good shape. Having that healthy of a reserve in the TVET, the problem really isn't that we don't have the money to buy buses. The problem is when you buy a bus, it takes so long to get the bus. So that's why you gotta get ahead of the whole process. I mean, I think it was last February that we have a bus from a couple years ago that was totaled, that we haven't even had that show up to replace it yet. So, that's probably our biggest issue. We've got a new director also, Ryan Solchenberger, who's honestly done an amazing job at really focusing on getting our students to school before the bell, getting them home, time to communicate with parents proactively. I think that the whole transportation department has had a major increase in terms of, we had a lot of buses canceled, routes canceled last spring, if you remember. I was talking with Ryan here yesterday. We're gonna have information out to parents, I think, in the next few weeks about snow routes, and actually have snow routes so parents know where to take their kids if we have certain issues with the weather. So the TDF is pretty good shape. The program, I think, is in great shape actually right now, but we can do any kind of research that you might be interested in us doing.
That issue, I think, which you're referring to around transportation funding, that has come up in the past, with WASA as a legislative, priority, for anybody that doesn't know. Example, like Liberty Bay, it's calculated straight line distance for the buses that run.
Correct.
So there's a funding variation there, so I think it's just making sure that we continue to monitor, WASA legislative priorities, and, we do anything we can to push that.
Right, yeah, and it was listed as one of the priorities.
I think the differential, the important piece of data for that's gonna be the differential for what we get from the state for transportation calculation versus what we spend.
Okay, so does the money they send us from the state, is that an average for everybody?
It's calculated by, it's a formula of average ridership, and it's calculated as bird flies versus,
Okay.
and our topography it doesn't lend itself to like a Seattle, you were saying, or Bremerton, a city. It's a lot easier and shorter route, so Polsville is a much easier route to get around than if you get outside to the county areas of our district. It's much more difficult, to move around.
The
I
state,
think we'd be a good example.
yeah, we are.
We are.
We're a larger
District,
geographic,
yeah.
we're a larger
Yes.
geographic district,
Yeah.
and the state doesn't fully fund
And
transportation.
that's what the legislators need to see, is the numbers and why we're
Absolutely.
unique.
So Mike and I are working on that, not just for, transportation, but for all of our budget priorities, priorities. I know the loss of cohort, Superintendent Cohort is working with, WDA, the largest, the teachers union in the state, along with, WASDA, so that we have a combined, list of legislative priorities and asks. When you drill down into the data, the rationale and what we all need, it's the same thing. And so for all working together and coming to the state, to the legislature with, hey, here's what, a collaborative, an agreement, these are our priorities, what can we do?
Mike, can I ask you, I know that a lot of districts are wrestling with the COVID money bubble. Where are we at on that process?
So the district I think the district kind of proactively spent the money up front in ESSER funds, and the whole idea was that they would kind of build a little bit of a reserve, spend the money in the early days, and then deficit spend for a couple years and get back to break even. So I think we maybe had $5,000 or something very minimal that we spent last year. 22-23 was the last year that there was a lot of money spent out of COVID. So we're on the other side of that, where you still see some districts saying, we now have to go through cuts because the COVID money's gone. The COVID money's in North Kitsap's been gone for a couple years. And so that is not an issue for us, at all at this point. So that's, honestly, that's a huge, positive for what North Kitsap did in terms of trying to get ahead of that. And Jason, when he was here, was a big part of that also.
Excellent.
I don't have, I just thank you for this, Mike.
Sure.
For this, it's a real great report to just see the end of year summary. I think it's really helpful. And I know the board, we see this a lot and we're very familiar, but kind of the things that were pointed out and talked about, I think it's good too.
Yeah, thank
Like when we
you.
talk about deficit spending and then that is not sustainable and it's not, you know, it's not.
And I think it's important for people to remember that there's a 5 to 7% reserve that the board has in policy, that we're always trying to make sure that we're getting, well, we make sure that we get that number also, so that's a really good thing. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Next one would be our in-district, sorry, our last report is the, out-of-district, inter-district transfer report. Is there any questions on this report?
I did not, no.
Well, okay, so we have a lot of kids, 242, that are in our physical district that are going to Central, and 161 going to Bainbridge. And my understanding is they live here, but for some reason, whether it's parents' need or transportation, or, is any of that geographically connected to where Pearson is, right on the border?
No, I would say that, I mean, some probably could, there are some neighborhoods that, probably are closer to like Emerald Heights that, are actually Pearson kids, where you can walk out of Emerald Heights and, out of your, neighborhood and be at Emerald Heights, which is the simple Kitsap school. Pearson is a little bit different. Pearson, is one of the options for our students that are on the naval base, Bangor. The attraction for, the other Central Kitsap school that Bangor serves is, there is a guard at the fence, and they walk through a hole in the fence, and they walk onto Clear Creek's campus. And so parents have the choice to, you can choose to go to Pearson or, our school district here, or you can choose to go to Clear Creek, which is really
Right
just
there.
separated by a fence, walk across and then you're there. And so, students that live there is a choice.
Okay, is there any account for homeschoolers or people that are choosing to privately, go to private school?
There
or-
is, and that's on, so, I believe that's on one of the slides where it talks about transfer outs. And it's very similar, it's the similar conditions to why, students would transfer in as well. And so we look at our students that are transferring out, and then knowing that for those same reasons that students are transferring out, we also have 119, students that are transferring into, North Kitsap.
Rachel, are the PAL students included in the student census?
Yes,
And running starts are included
in our overall, so.
in 11th and 12th grade?
As transfer out?
Are they considered transfer out students?
No.
No, okay.
No,
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I just have one other question about transferring to, because we have some schools that have closed, but I see that 17% could transfer to Paulsville Middle School, but it said that Paulsville was closed.
So if you look at, students that were either in the feeder pattern or already existing students there, those would be some of those students. And then, obviously, there's certain policies and laws around if there is a harassment, intimidation, or bullying, that we could allow transfers for that under the exception cases.
Okay. Well, I just noticed
No, it's okay.
that the highest transfer rate grade,
questions, yeah,
is
that's-
11th and 12th graders. And I was just guessing, is it because they can drive? Is it because of Running Start? Is it because
Yeah,
of
it would-
electives?
It
that
wouldn't
they
be
want?
Running Start, so, our high schools have an open policy, an open transfer, so students that can transport themselves to either high school can choose to go to either high school, obviously under, board policy and, district procedure, there are, restricting factors, like behavior, attendance, grades, those sort of things can be restricting, for a denial of student to transfer, to their non-home school.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, with that, ends the management reports, and that ends the meeting. The time is 8:12 PM and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.